podcast so nice you'll wanna watch it twice for Moscopy. Fuck.
That's what it sounded like. Welcome to Filmoscopy.
Amazing.
I am today's host, Mr. Lance. I am joined today by my co-host, Mr. Cody. Don't call him John Wayne S. Cody, say hi to the people.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by another good friend of mine, Mr. Owen. He is not Hart or Wilson. Owen, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. It's been so long, guys, since we recorded. It feels like, I know it's only been like 3 weeks, but fuck, I've missed you guys. I know, I was the worst part of the last episode because that movie was the shits. You should probably go back and listen to it. But Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But I truly enjoy these Saturdays where we record, guys. Well, today we are going to be covering 1980s Friday the 13th, sorry. Friday the 13th. This movie got so many 5-star reviews when it came out. It was praised by Siskel and Ebert. They said this movie was about a woman's struggle in losing her child and how she dealt with that trauma. Actually, I'm joking. This movie got scathing reviews back in 1980, and it started with the director calling the writer saying, "Hey, do you want to rip off Halloween?" So, thank you, John Carpenter. Your movie Halloween spawned so many rip-offs, but I am very happy with it because Friday the 13th happens to be probably it's in my top 2 favorite series of films.
Okay, I thought you were about to be this movie.
This movie is like it's the fucking, okay, I will say this. Now, it's, not collectively, but separately, because obviously we wouldn't know each other. But if we were growing up as these movies came out,
yeah,
we would probably think the first one was the best one.
I mean,
this is the first thing you've seen.
If I was like a little kid and I had watched it, and this was like the first slasher, and like the first time I'd ever saw like some titties, I'd be like, this would have a special place in my heart. But
yeah,
now I can just open up Google and type in titty and see.
Yeah, no, but this is 1980 we're talking about. There was no Google.
Yeah,
there wasn't even Enron yet.
Yeah, if I was like a little kid and I watched this, I'd be like, oh, this is fucking, I shouldn't be watching this, bro.
I've watched this movie like quite a few times. I would say probably offhand, probably 10 total times over my lifetime since I've been able to watch horror movies. I got to do a quick special thank you to my grandmother. She is the one that allowed me to watch these Friday the 13th movies. Thank you, Grandma. Damn. I love you very much. I will send her this episode so she can listen to it. As you're watching the movies for the first time, it's not a bad movie, but we're going to get into this later on. But if you're coming at it from the post Friday the 13th world, like we haven't had a release in the last almost 11 years now. It's been 11 years. This movie is like a fucking appetizer for the rest of them because you're like, where's Jason at? Because you know Friday the 13th as Jason. As the hockey mask.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise to me because this was the first time I'd watched this movie. And I knew about the twist coming into it, but I guess I had just kind of read it before we were doing this movie. But I'd always figured all of the Friday the 13th movies were all about Jason.
Yes. It's, unfortunately, Jason wasn't even a thing yet. Like I said, I'm going to go into it as we start covering this movie, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it to Cody. Cody, what is your first experience with this movie and or this series?
It's hard to pinpoint exactly when I first saw this movie. I've been trying to think about it for the last few days, and I kind of just was exposed to the Friday the 13th movies around the time I was like 10 or 11, I think. I'd watch I think Jason Takes Manhattan may be the first one I actually ever saw.
Yeah, baby.
Classic.
This one was
that movie's actually probably better than this one, to be honest with you.
I really want to watch that movie because it looks fucking hilarious.
Yeah, this one was way later. I think I'd already seen like 4 or 5 Friday the 13th movies by the time I saw this, and not knowing that Jason isn't the killer in this movie, it was a surprise at the end when he's not actually in it, except for in the
spoiler alert. Sorry.
What was your initial reaction to watching this after seeing all the newer ones and then going back to this one? What'd you think?
I don't think I liked it very much the first time I saw it. Mostly because I wanted to watch Friday the 13th for Jason,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, wouldn't you? You know.
Yeah, but growing older and watching it, a couple times, I guess, over the last 10 years or so, I've come to appreciate it more. It's still not a great movie per se, but I do like it a lot more than I did the first time I watched it.
Interesting. So maybe Owen should give it a few more chances before. But I know, which is no problem. We're gonna get into that. I don't want to spoil anything just yet. My mom would never let me watch horror movies because I grew up in a very conservative Christian family. Still am Christian. I'm not trying to say I broke out and I'm atheist now. No, that's not the point. I'm just saying that she just didn't allow me to do it until I was probably about 12. And I remember vaguely seeing a scene or two from Friday the 13th Part 7. It's a scene where Jason walks up to the house and you can see him through the blinds. And I remember that scene. But the first Friday the 13th movie I ever watched was Part 6, all the way through. My first Halloween movie I ever watched was Halloween 2. I can't make fun of Cody. All my movies were fucking jumbled.
I thought you were about to say, my first Halloween movie was Halloween Resurrection, and I loved it.
Ooh, baby. That would have been rough. I remember being excited. Okay, we'll get into that a little later. But I was so excited about Halloween Resurrection when I saw the trailer back in 2002. So I was oh, yeah, because Jason X has just come out. And I hadn't seen it yet, and I needed to get it on DVD. I was oh, man, we got a Halloween movie and a Jason movie. This is fucking awesome. I was fucking stoked. Because I'm head to heels just watching all these movies now. I had them all. I had most of them on VHS, and I got a DVD collection of it. So I was super stoked. Jason Voorhees is probably in my top 5 of just my favorite characters personally of all franchises that I'm a fan of.
Big character.
Yeah,
he's deep.
He's very deep. Well, the thing is, like I said, we get into when we talk about these differences in these movies because Halloween came out in 1977. No. Yeah. Yes.
I thought it was 78. I don't know.
78. No, you're right. I'm 100% wrong. So 78, Halloween came out. John Carpenter. This was, I believe, the second modern-day horror movie with the killer wears a mask after Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out in 74 or 73, I believe.
Well, not this one. I don't think.
The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's when
you mean
a
I was saying
mask.
The killer wearing a mask in this one.
Yeah, I'm not talking about, but we're getting into the Halloween, how everything leads into this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have made that clear. Halloween came out, and Sean Cunningham, who is the producer and director of Friday the 13th, and he is a shithead because it's the lawsuit between him and the writer of this movie, Victor Miller, that is keeping any and all content for Friday the 13th from coming out. This literally while we don't have a new movie, they quit working on the game. All of this is because they have a lawsuit between them. Victor feels like he's owed royalties. Sean says, no, you're a work for hire contract. Victor said that expired last year after a 30-year term, and so he's owed money now. And this is what the lawsuit's going back and forth. That's literally why. But Sean called Victor, and I got a lot of my information from Wikipedia. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to be looking off Wikipedia for the plot. I got my information from the documentary Crystal Lake Memories. And it's a really well-done documentary. It talks to a bunch of the actors, all the directors, some of the producers of the Friday the 13th movies. I actually watched the whole section of it for this movie. Went back and rewatched it with the commentary on just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then, we'll go into the movie. But Sean called Victor and said, hey, why don't we rip off Halloween? Sean's history in Hollywood at this point, he has done some commercials, some little shorts, but he was also in the softcore porn industry.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. This is true. It kind
of shows in this movie a little.
It kind of shows the softcore, but it was very softcore. It wasn't,
This movie kind of has the plot of a porno.
Yes, it does. It does. But also, Sean was the producer of a little movie that came out, I believe, in 1972. Don't quote me on that. Called Last House on the Left, directed by Wes Craven. So you have the creator of Friday the 13th working with the creator of A Nightmare on Elm Street and pretty much Scream, even though he didn't write that movie. So that's a fun little thing. Sean said in this interview that they had the title. The original working title that Victor came up with was Long Night at Camp Blood. And then Sean said he had this title in his head that he wanted to make a movie about called Friday the 13th. Obviously, what other holiday can you fucking put a killer into other than Halloween? Yeah. So Friday the 13th. They literally put a ad in Variety with a billboard like poster. It said Friday the 13th, the scariest movie you'll ever see. They didn't even have a fucking script. But, I mean, that's literally how it was. This movie came out. They started filming in the fall of 79. This movie came out in 80. They had a $550,000 budget for this movie, which in today's numbers would be roughly $1.7 million budget. Now, this movie was written for the most part with Victor Miller. They had a few things that... There was 3 secret money men in this. And these guys, like I said, listening to the commentary, these guys were like... It seemed like I got the feeling that they were mafia. Yeah. They owned a little movie studio called Georgetown Productions. And you see that in the credits of this movie. But they literally only had like one picture of all 3 of them together. It was crazy. Like they were like these kind of like thicker looking Italian looking dudes. So I definitely think they had mob connections because they were in the New Jersey area.
Yeah, this was filmed in New Jersey. Some Sopranos shit.
Yeah. And the thing is, Crystal Lake is supposed to be in New Jersey. I always think about Jason being like in the woods.
He's like, hey, I'm fucking walking here. Hey, I'm in the fucking lake. Somebody get me, hey? Come on.
Come on, Mom.
Hey, I'm drowning
Mom,
here.
you fucking bitch, I'm drowning.
He just sounds like Tony Soprano. Hey, the fucking gabagoo. I'm in the fucking water.
His mom did sound like the Godfather. I mean, telling you, dude. But...
it all comes back to Marlon Brando.
Yeah, all comes back to Marlon Brando, baby. They had brought in another guy. His name was Ron Kurtz, Kurz, who ended up writing Friday the 13th Part 2.
Wait, Ron Kurtz, like Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now, played by Marlon Brando.
Oh my God, yes, it's all coming back full circle, baby. I love this. I didn't even think that's fucking incredible. They had him come in and he wrote a few things. He actually got uncredited in the script because he didn't care. He thought this movie was a piece of shit. When the movie came out and it made all this money that we're going to get into in a little bit, he actually was like, man, I kind of want it. So he ended up writing Part 2. So he got his money at that. Tom Savini, who we have covered his work in Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Which was kind of like his first big movie.
He does really good ass work in this movie. If there's like any good thing to take away from this movie, it's definitely Tom Savini's work. It fucking holds up. The only thing that I thought looked kind of goofy was maybe the arrow through the chest thing. That looked a little cheesy.
Oh no!
But Kevin Bacon.
I completely disagree with you on that. I thought the chest through the air, like you talking about when Kevin Bacon's laying on the bed.
That's the guy from Tremors.
And she shoves it through the.
Hey,
I don't know. The blood gushing was just like too.
Okay, there's a story about that we're gonna get to. Okay, I promise you. I'm like, this is an awesome story. So Tom, his special effects, he was I believe, photographer for the Vietnam War. And his quote was, if I don't get the same feeling from my special effects that I got when I was taking the pictures, no one else is going to think it looks real on screen. I don't want it to look phony, pretty much.
Didn't Tom Savini kill a snake in this? Wasn't that his hands fucking chopping that snake?
No, that wasn't that. You're mixing a few things together,
I'm
but you do have no. I swear to God, though, you're on point, but a few of the things are merging. There's a snake in this movie, and the snake is killed.
Poor
Tom
snake.
Savini's hands come involved when it comes time for Mrs. Voorhees to go meet her son. Her ending. So we'll get to that in a little bit, though. In the script, Jason's original name was Josh. But I guess they didn't think Josh sounded evil
That's
enough.
hilarious because I have 2 uncles. One's named Jason, the other one's named Josh.
Oh my God! This is literally why I picked you for the podcast. So I knew that you were going to say it. I felt it.
It's the planets fucking aligned. Dude.
Everything. Like, we're fucking Apocalypse Now. So Betsy Palmer, who was hired, they had another actress, and her name escapes me, so I apologize for that.
Betsy Palmer, who plays Jason's mother.
Yes, that's what I'm about to get to.
Okay.
Betsy Palmer, who plays Marlon Brando. Betsy Palmer was kind of like, she worked, I believe she was like on the Today Show. She played in like soap operas and stuff like that. She was kind of like you're like down at just like kind of like a comfy actor. Like you see her on screen, you were reminded by comfort and all that kind of thing. So when she did this movie, it was kind of like a big outrage.
Yeah.
She said that her car's engine blew up. It was a Cadillac. She needed a new car. That's why she did this movie. She had really she didn't listen to a lot of the people on this documentary. They didn't understand how big this movie was going to become, obviously, but they also didn't later on didn't realize how big the fandom had got. Like Betsy Palmer, she's passed away now, rest in peace, but she had done a lot of conventions at Friday the 13th with people like she's wearing a blue sweater. They even had Kane Hodder dress up like Jason from Part 7, and she's holding his face like my poor boy. And there's a picture of that. It's really fucking cool. And people would sit there and bring her their child to take a picture, like the baby. She's holding a baby and stuff like that. Because there is, this movie, like I said, as thin on plot as it is, there is an understanding, I think, especially from on my end, that Jason's mother, like the trauma she went through, her son drowning, especially a special needs son.
Is it established that he's a special needs son in this movie?
Didn't you not see that fucking head that looks like a crater?
Yeah, but maybe that's because I don't know.
Well,
he's been underwater.
It doesn't really seem like it's implied at all. To me, when he comes out of the water at the end, his head is deformed, but it almost seems like maybe it's just like that from being in the water so long. But, like his body rotting or something.
That's all that stuff's like from the moss. Like they actually, when they did the makeup, they actually took mud from the bottom of the lake and put it on the guy who was playing Jason. But you have to remember also, though, when she was getting mad at Alice, she's like, Jason was my son, and she grabbed him. He was, and she goes, he wasn't a very good swimmer.
Doesn't she say like he was a special boy?
She didn't say that. She was my special child, Jason. But she was going to say he was, and then she stopped herself, and she was like, he wasn't a very good swimmer. We can go now, dear. I'm touching Owen's face as I do that.
That's nice.
But
I didn't tell you to stop.
but you love it though. Betsy Palmer is phenomenal. I think she's the best part of the movie, acting wise.
I think she really phoned it the fuck in. Unless you're being sarcastic.
Compared to the rest of the actors, though.
I think the girl who played Annie did an okay job.
Annie was really good.
I really liked her character.
No.
But then they killed her.
Annie was the worst actor in the entire freaking movie.
Okay, when we get to that, Cody,
was
Cody,
awful.
you can chime in then. Hold on there, okay? No, I'm just kidding.
Cody hates her. The worst actor in the movie was the fucking nurse at the end who looks directly into the camera.
Oh, I didn't even think about her.
Yeah,
I don't even pay attention.
She looks right into the camera like, oh, what am I supposed to do? And then she looks over to the cop again. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but she doesn't have a speaking role, though. Annie's actor has several lines, and she is terrible.
I think she's actually kind of cute, though, so calm down.
I didn't think she was that bad.
All right.
She's like the only character I fucking remember from this movie.
Well, the few notes, the last few notes I have from the documentary was, it was picked up by Paramount, and it took in a gross, at the time, $39.7 million, which in today's numbers would be $125.5 million, which is not bad.
Woo.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Siskel
and Ebert, like I said, this movie got terrible reviews, and Victor Miller said he knew that this movie was going to be a hit when the reviews came out. He was like, well, if everybody's going to hate you, they're going to go come out and come see this movie if it's a train wreck or something like that. But literally, Siskel and Ebert, everybody who knows about movie reviews, that's a big name.
Yeah.
They fucking gave out Betsy Palmer's address for fans to write her disapproving letters and to bash her for being in this fucking movie.
Yeah, they did some weird shit back in the day.
This is the kind of shit they were like, if you watch, I watched like a clip of it, they're like, I swear this movie has to be a response about the women's movement that's happening in the 80s, and like you need to stay in your place and all this other crap. Like the movie had some deep fucking meaning. Seriously, guys.
Yeah, it's just fucking schlock.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I swear to God, I'm like, and then Betsy, and she had the greatest line. I wrote this down, and it was in an interview recently for this documentary. She said, look, those who can do and those who can't criticize. So she just said, what she said, she thought it worked out for the best. This movie had she turned around her thought process on it, and she thinks, and she goes, maybe I would have been forgotten if I hadn't done this movie. Like this is it's pretty much her most notable role now.
Yeah. Betsy
was offered a couple times to return as a vision of Jason's mom, and the money was always low. She was lowballed, but she was offered Freddy vs. Jason. So that's 2003, and she said she declined. The documentary for Crystal Lake Memories, I suggest anybody go watch it if you can. Started back in 2002. It's a book, and then they made it into a movie. So I actually just ordered the book myself, so I'm going to have that and pretty much know everything I can about Friday the 13th at that point. And there's only 8 deaths in this movie, if you add up the stuff. And for as much as this movie is being a slasher movie, I believe the producer of the project on the commentary said there's literally like 28 seconds of total blood in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie spawned a lot of ripoffs. This movie...
It itself being a ripoff, though.
Itself being a ripoff of Halloween. But I'm going to get into a quick wrestling comparison that Cody and Owen will understand. And you have the Road Warriors, and then you have Demolition. Demolition were a ripoff of the Road Warriors. These are guys that wear face paint, and they were a tag team. If you watch any Demolition match, they are better than any Road Warrior match. They actually could work as wrestlers. The Road Warriors would just ground and pound and pick you up and slam you and stuff like that. Demolition actually could formulate matches and it wouldn't hurt their characters. But they were always looked at from the outside of the WWF as Road Warrior ripoffs. Friday the 13th itself is a ripoff of Halloween. But if you compare any of the Halloween sequels to any of the Friday the 13th sequels, the Friday the 13th sequels are much better than any of the Halloween movies. Except for the first one. The first Halloween movie is incredible.
And the third one.
That's head and shoulders above everything else, but Halloween as a series doesn't compare to Friday the 13th of the series, in my opinion.
Yeah, Halloween, I guess they started ripping off Friday the 13th after, like the third one?
Like the fourth one. Like they literally said, like, we need Jason up Michael for Halloween 4. We need him bigger. He needs to be stronger. He needs to be massive and stuff. And in watching Halloween, Michael takes a sadistic pleasure in killing people. You can see how slow it is. Whereas in this movie, of course, you don't know it's Jason once you get later on in the movie. Jason's kills are really just fucking brutal. He may do a few little sick game. He put somebody up. He put nails through the guy's hand and nailed him to a door panel. Yeah. So the girl, when she opened the door, the guy was there. It's like, big scare. But it's not sadistic. He just kills you real quick. He squishes your brain, or he stabs you, or crushes your head against the bathroom wall, or something like that. So Jason's a very simplistic thing. And watching, because I watched this movie with my girlfriend as well, and we and her are up to Halloween 2 and Friday the 13th Part 6. She has found a quality about Jason that she thinks he's less
sexy quality.
Nah, not sexy. Come on, I mean, well, maybe she is dating
that
me.
Boiler suit, damn.
Yes, but Jason though, there's something about him that he's not as sadistic as Michael. Like Michael will kill anybody. Jason just does it because you're on his property. Like, get off my lawn.
But that's what's scary about Michael is that he would just kill anybody.
Well, Jason will kill anybody, too, if you come to his place.
Yeah.
But Michael's been chasing his sister this whole time. Anyway, Cody, what were you going to say, good sir?
Going back to the fact that a lot of movies have ripped this off, I did want to say that even though this movie was a ripoff of Halloween, it's left a lasting legacy. I think even more so than Halloween has.
Amen.
Even to the point where a lot of modern slashers draw inspiration from Friday the 13th more so than any other slasher movie.
Yeah.
If you look at something like the last season of American Horror Story 1984, it all takes place at a summer camp around a lake, and there's a lot of homages to the Friday the 13th movies in that season.
I think it's probably more the sequels than this specific movie. I don't think when people talk about Friday the 13th, they talk about this one. I think they're mostly I think most people would think of the sequels where it's Jason with the hockey mask. The third one is where he first has the hockey mask. Yeah. So I think those movies had more of an impact on the slasher genre than this one.
Well, this one right here is the one that spawned everything, though.
I guess you could say that, but that's
because this movie, the success of this movie literally came out. And then the producers, the money men, I should say, not the producers, because Sean Cunningham was the producer. They're like, hey, we want to make a part 2. We want you to do it. And he goes, what do you mean? He's like, we want you to do part 2. We're going to do it about Jason, though. And they go, him and Tom Savini were like, but Jason's dead. How are you going to do that? He goes, no, we're going to change all that. So at the end of this movie, according to the director and to the writer, Jason is dead. He's been dead since 58. And they changed it to where I guess he didn't drown and he lived, according to a podcast I listened to called In Voorhees We Trust with Gorley and Rust. They say that Jason's a little frog boy because of the way he looks. So I guess he survived drowning and lived as a little frog boy for 30 years, and then he shows up in part 2.
He was eating fucking algae.
That's something I wanted to ask you, because I'm sure you know the answer to this. So this movie was done, cut, print, send it to the theaters. Jason is dead canonically until part 2 when they bring him back, or did they add, because at the end of this movie Alice says something along the lines of he's still there, so is that something they went back and added later, or is it just, what's the deal with that?
From what the documentary said, and that's talking to Tom Savini and Sean, I don't think that scene was in the script, but they wanted to do an ending that ripped off Carrie. Because if you remember the end of Carrie, where she goes to where I guess the burial is, with all those rocks, or whatever, and she goes to put a flower down, Carrie's hand comes through the rocks and grabs her hand, and she's still covered in blood. It's like, oh God.
Yeah.
Well, this is a scene you don't know if it's a dream or not. Did she dream? Did she fall in the lake or whatever? But they said, to them it was a dream. But this movie was so fucking successful that they wanted to go make some more money. So they're like, hey, Jason survived. Because he's full grown in part 2. It's not like, he gets resurrected somehow in part 2 We haven't got that far down the fucking rabbit hole yet with Jason. And then all of a sudden he grows up. Now he's a full-grown fucking individual in part 2 that wears a fucking bag over his head and looks like the fucking elephant boy. So, yeah, but that was in their mind. Jason was dead. Mrs. Voorhees is dead. There's no way you can do a sequel. They're moving on to other projects. They wanted to make a project that made money so they could go do a little soccer film for kids or some shit like that. Okay, yeah. And then you know, like I said, this movie spawned like all these rip-offs. You have like so many just like slasher movies that come out, like Sleepaway Camp and all these other things. And they all come from Friday the 13th. And going back to what Cody was saying about lasting legacy for Friday the 13th, they made a game. Like, it was a crowd-funded game, and it's incredible. It's got the locations from Friday the 13th Part 1, 2, 3, and 4. This game is absolutely incredible homage to the franchise. Nobody's asking for a Halloween game. And when Halloween 2018 came out, the movie got great reviews. It's made over $200 million, which is the most in any kind of slasher movie or whatever history. But I believe the first reactions I had, and then some from our friends were, man, we need a new Friday the 13th now. Like, it literally went into that. Like, okay, we were already over the fact that Halloween came out. We want a Friday the 13th now. Let's see if somebody can do it better. So that's what's like going to Cody's like lasting legacy. So.
Yeah, we're about to get another Halloween movie before we ever get another Friday the 13th movie, which at this point, if they ever do make another Friday the 13th, it's probably going to be a reboot again.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that it doesn't come too late in this little boom of like, oh, everybody wants the Halloween movie. Because, I mean, Halloween 2018, it's not my favorite. It did get good reviews. I think it takes too much from the sequels instead of being its own thing. And everybody criticized the Halloween sequels.
Oh, isn't that the one John Carpenter? It was like,
He's somewhat involved, and he did a little bit of the music in that one. Yeah.
It's the one when they brought it back, they said, ignore everything after the first movie?
They just ignored the first. They ignored all the sequels. Like Halloween goes, you got Halloween 1 and then 2. Halloween 3 is by itself. It's a phenomenal movie. I'm going to go ahead and suggest that right fucking now. Anybody who listens to this.
I like
Halloween 3 is a great fucking standalone movie.
Have a happy Halloween.
It is.
Halloween Silver Shamrock.
Stop! Turn it off!
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Then you have Halloween's 4, 5, and 6. And then Halloween 7, which is H2O, ignores 4, 5, and 6. Then it has its own sequel and Resurrection. So Halloween 1 and 2, and then it goes 4, 5, and 6, and then another universe is 7 and 8. Then they reboot it and have its own sequel. And then 2018 ignores Halloween 2, so they don't have to do the Laurie Strode as Michael's sister bullshit, which I actually like. I think it takes away the not brother and sister. But, you know, like I said, that movie came out. I liked it. But if you've watched all the other Halloween sequels, they took all these things from the sequels to put in this movie. And everybody acts like they're original fucking ideas. And they're not. And then they have a scene where fucking Michael squashes a cop's head like a fucking melon with just one stomp. And it's stupid. And then there's a psychiatrist that takes off Michael's mask and wears it. That movie jumped the shark in that scene. That's just my opinion. So... well, welcome to the Halloween podcast. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump into this plot. About actors, nobody else really did anything that I saw. I think Alice, she did a few other things.
Except Kevin Bacon.
And then, obviously, Kevin Bacon, who... Kevin Bacon is the Jamie Lee Curtis of this movie. He goes on to stardom.
Yeah.
You know, Jamie Lee Curtis was the Halloween...
Except he's not the star of this movie, though.
He's not the star yet.
He does get his ass grabbed in this movie.
Oh yeah, wouldn't you grab his ass?
I was kind of jealous
that you didn't grab it, or your butt wasn't grabbed.
Both.
Watching this movie for this episode, it's the first time I ever noticed that Kevin Bacon was even in it.
Really? That's interesting.
I was sitting there watching.
I fucking noticed.
Yeah, I was like, that looks like Kevin Bacon, and I looked it up on Wikipedia. I was like, oh shit,
like,
it is
Kevin
Kevin Bacon.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, it's fucking Kevin Bacon. And I was like, Footloose.
That's fucking incredible.
Kick off your Sunday shoes.
Well, Footloose was his big breakout.
Yeah,
and he had done National Lampoon's Animal House before this movie in '78. But this was like okay, you always have a star that goes on to be something bigger.
He was like a soap opera actor, like before this shit.
He was having a hard time when this movie came out finding work, so he was like happy to get the gig.
But you have like nose.
A Nightmare on Elm Street. Johnny Depp was the star that was propelled in it, and Johnny actually reappeared in the series, which I found out, which I thought was kind of cool. He was in it.
Yeah, I just found that out the other day.
Yeah, he was in a commercial in Part 5 or something like that, and you know the new Nightmare movie where it takes place in the real world.
Yeah,
I read this somewhere that Wes Craven wanted to approach him to be in the movie, but he thought Johnny would be like too big of a star to do it now. And he talked to Johnny like years after the movie came out, and Johnny said he would have loved to have done it if he asked him. He just wasn't asked. So I mean, I thought that would have been really fucking cool that Johnny would have done that. But anyway, welcome to the Nightmare on Elm Street podcast with Owen, Lance, and Cody. The movie opens on a very dark night in 1958, where camp counselors are for some reason singing "Kumbaya," and you have the killer's perspective as they open the door, go through the cabin with the sleeping kids, which is literally like the only fucking time you see kids at a camp in these movies until like Part 6. Yeah, I swear to God, I'm not making this up.
I thought they would have had like little kids at the. I don't know. Maybe that's like a Mandela effect thing. I mean, I've never seen this movie, but I just figured that there would be like little kids when the counselors are there.
You would think so, but they just like, we just can't pay child
Party, bro!
Party, bro! We gotta get ready for the kids. Let's all have sex, bro.
Spring fucking break. Smoke some fucking doobies, dude.
But they goes to the counselors singing in front of a fireplace, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, I think they're like in a house in front of a fireplace.
Yeah, because it's not. For some reason, I felt like they were singing in front of a fire, but they're inside of a house. So are they burning something in the middle of this house like a fucking cult? Who knows? They are singing "Kumbaya," my lord. Well, two of them excuse themselves from the rest of the group in a scene that will be played out over and over again throughout all 12 of these movies. Yes, there's 12 of these movies. This isn't Harry Potter. This isn't fucking Star Wars. This is fucking Friday the 13th.
It would be funny if they just start fucking in Harry Potter, dude.
Oh, Ron. Oh, Ron.
Oh, Ron, don't stop.
Harry, come over here, too. Oh. Anyway. Oh, Ronald Weasley. Anyway.
You put the sorting hat on your dick.
Jason just sits there and holds a machete where his penis is, like, let's go. But yeah, so they excuse themselves. They go off into some shed so they can start making out.
And start fucking.
It looks like it's about to get there. He hasn't got his pants off yet. There's no penetration.
He has this, like, when he gets up from it.
He's like tucking his shirt back in.
Yeah, but it makes like a buckle sound, like he has it unbuckled, but it's not unbuckled.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
He's like Rudy Giuliani in that new Borat movie.
Oh my god, yeah. I haven't watched that yet, but
we should do that next.
Welcome to the Borat podcast.
Welcome to the Borat podcast.
But they're about to do it, and Mrs. Voorhees, well, you don't know it's her yet, but the killer stands there like a fucking weirdo and waits for her to be noticed, and she goes, "Somebody's there.
Stop fucking.
And then, stop it. I just cleaned the floor.
Stop fucking in the barn."
And
then the guy stands up. "Gee whiz, ma'am.
Gee willikers."
Oh, God. And then he's like, "Gee whiz, I apologize."
And then he's like, "Where's old G Wally?" He's like, "Leave it to Beaver."
Golly gee.
But then he gets stabbed in the fucking gut, and that looks really awesome.
Yeah, it did look really good when he got fucking stabbed.
And then the whole, she's like trying to get away from her. She's like, "Ah!"
It looks really stupid with the way the camera moves and shit.
Yeah, but this whole thing is like first person.
Yeah, it's like you are the killer.
Here's the cool thing I did notice. Okay, the whole music for these movies, which is the kill, 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 ma, ma, ma.
Yeah.
That only plays in this movie when the killer is present. There's no cheating in this movie.
Yeah. Does it cheat in the sequels?
Well, no, because it's fucking Jason at this point.
Oh, okay.
They just do for all, whatever they want. I forgot another note. Harry Manfredini is the one who did he did 8 of the first 9 Friday the 13th movies.
And his music in this movie is straight up a fucking ripoff of the Psycho music. It's literally just...
Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I was thinking about,
violins with fucking tuba.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had a budget of $500,000. Calm down, okay? No, I'm just messing with you. But the one thing I wanted to say about this...
It's written exactly... It's the fucking same music. I was like, is this the Psycho music every fucking time?
Dude, you think that's bad? He also did the Swamp Thing movie that came out in 1982.
Was that have Psycho music in it too?
No, it literally has music from this movie in the Swamp Thing movie.
Swamp Thing.
Swamp, not that. That's
Well,
that's the cartoon.
If anything, he's original. To be fair, he did do the
But
thing.
it's kill, 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 mama.
Yeah.
So it skips to present day. Now, present day is supposed to be 1980. There is a continuity error.
I thought it was 2020.
I know. There is a continuity error in part 4 that I'll talk about a little later on when Mrs. Voorhees meets her ending, which is kind of weird, but like what you will realize after the 4th movie, timelines don't fucking matter in these movies because it's supposed to be like 5 years later, so that would technically be like 1993. Everything still looks like 1986. That's just my little 2 cents. It's fucking hilarious. But anyway, so cuts to present day. You have a little girl. I say little girl. It's not like she's she's a child. She's a teenager, but she looks like she's 5'2", and that's short.
Yeah.
But she's like, she's carrying her backpack. She is the best actress, according to Cody, in this movie. This is Annie.
Little orphan Annie.
And she walks into a diner.
She's the only fucking interesting character in the movie, if you ask me.
Well, she really is like the only one that gets alone screen time other than Alice.
Yeah, I don't know why they spend so much time fucking introducing her like this and then just kill her off like fucking like the first kill.
They were mimicking the Psycho.
Maybe
thing.
it was just
they were just ripping off Psycho. But the thing about Psycho is that Norman Bates is so much more fucking interesting.
They also picked the worst actress from the group and said we have to kill her off first because nobody's going to be able to
Cody
stand
hates
her. She's way too
We've already filmed
who...
30 minutes of this fucking movie for her. We got to use it. Fucking kill her now. They killed her in real life. This is actually a snuff film. It's like, fuck! No, I'm just kidding. I don't think she's that bad, but Cody thinks she's terrible.
Cody has a vendetta against
Cody
her.
has a vendetta.
She's just too chipper for him.
I think Cody probably got aroused by her, and he's like all pissed. I was like, no, she's a terrible actress.
He's like, no! She makes me feel something.
Nah, I don't
like it.
I think her acting really, like, it is kind of bad when she's in the truck with the guy when he's giving her a ride.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like cheesy fucking 70s acting, you know?
It also feels like...
Yeah, but that's the problem.
It kind of feels like they have a little bit of improv, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have like a very broad outline of the scene. Yeah. And then, look here, if you have something better, you can say it, too. Like, it's not like a solid directing movie.
Jeez, man, you're an American classic.
I mean, the first kid that gets killed said, G. Wally.
Original.
Oh, shit, I forgot.
Yeah, that part, I rolled my eyes when she said that. You're an American original.
I still don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's like fucking dated 70s acting, but I mean, like, fucking all the other characters acted fucking terrible too.
I don't think they did though. They all acted like
except Kevin Bacon.
You know, like they all acted sort of like, you know, you would expect them to act. You know, teenagers at a summer camp alone. They're all kind of goofy and they're just worried about banging each other.
I realize I'm Ned. You know, he's acting like a Native American. You know, all acting stupid.
I like when Kevin Bacon does that little audible nut when he's doing his sex scene.
Oh, yeah, he's like, he grabs the pillow. He's like, oh, he grabs the pillow. If you noticed, he's like, oh.
Yeah, he's like, I'm fucking coming.
I'm about to bust the nut.
Oh, Kevin Bacon. Oh.
And then he's like, oh, don't look at it. Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Oh, God. Oh. And he's like, oh. And he's probably just lost his virginity.
He's like, sorry.
So he's telling her, he goes, can you feel it slipping out?
Sorry. That's never happened before.
I'm sorry. You made me come with it. Like, you came in like 2 minutes, bro.
He just puts it in like in 3. What if that whole scene was just the entire sex and it was just like a fucking minute? It was really plain too. You think for like 20-year-olds or some shit. Like, come on, no anal?
Oh my God. Okay, look, this is 1980. This isn't.
Come on, he's Kevin Bacon. Like, what the fuck?
You think she should have pegged him?
You're not gonna suck him off or anything? Like, it's Kevin Bacon.
So like, it's Kevin Bacon. Let's look what he looks like. I want to see his torso.
Yeah, come on, dude.
I do realize everybody, including the guys, do wear all short booty shorts.
Yeah, it looks fucking terrible.
It's 1980, brother.
The fashion in this movie is fucking terrible, except for the women's pants because you can see their whole ass. Oh, and the lady who wears the fucking tight shirt where you can see her nipples.
Yeah, she just does not wear a bra.
I was surprised the cop did not look down and be like, oh. The best parts of this movie.
Yes, okay, we're going to get to that.
There's titty and ass.
There's not even that much titty and ass. But anyway, I get you. Anyway, so going back, Annie asks where Camp Crystal Lake is. They ask the truck driver, who looks like he could be, I don't know, in jail somewhere or driving a truck, one of the two things. He's like, oh yeah, I'll take her halfway. That's just like, take her halfway. Why don't you take her all the way? It's like fucking,
what a fucking
5 miles.
dick. He's like, you're gonna die.
Gas is like fucking 50 cents a gallon in 1980, bro.
Yeah,
Come on.
What an asshole. He's like, you're gonna die out there. You should quit, but I'm only gonna take you halfway.
You're an American original, man.
He's an American original.
Fun fact: this is actually the truck driver from Duel.
Oh my god, that's great. He's like, look, I gotta drop you off. I gotta go chase this motherfucker who voted for Eisenhower back in 1958.
This asshole cut me off. This piece of shit.
This motherfucker, I gotta go chase him down. I gotta drop you off, kid. That's when he drops her off after he passed her. I gotta take care of this. I'll be back. She goes, bye. Before they leave, they run into what I think is the best character in this movie, and probably the best character actor in this entire series, Crazy Ralph. Going to Camp Blood, ain't ya? You'll never come back again. Now,
his fucking bicycle was tight, though.
Like that little pussy, right?
Yeah, dude. He was fucking...
His little bicycle was like... And then, the funny thing is they show him riding off, but they show him riding off like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's like
7 or 8 seconds. Like, what the hell?
Scene of him just fucking cruising on his bike.
That actually brings me to another criticism I have of this movie. Is there some shots they just linger on way too long.
That's something that bored the fuck out of me with this movie. Is that shit?
It's like why are we watching this guy ride all the way back to town?
Shit just fucking plays out, and it's especially fucking irritating when it's like between. I don't know. This movie will have like the slasher shit, which I don't think is all that scary because you can't see. I mean, you're not supposed to see who's like. Clearly who's fucking coming at you, but if it's
real quick, Owen just said coming at you. No. He
Kevin
mimicked,
Bacon.
No, here you go. He mimicked a knife, but he was close to his crotch. It looked like he was jerking off.
Oh, Kevin Bacon.
You know who's coming. And he's over here like jerking himself off.
I saw Kevin Bacon's ass and I got so horny. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, another thing they linger on way too long, or it goes on way too long, is when the campers are showing up to camp and they're in the Jeep or whatever, and it's playing like that banjo solo for like a minute and a half. It's just like, why is there a banjo in this movie? It's the only time you ever hear it.
It's the same guitar from the 1958 segment.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess that's a really well-preserved guitar.
Yeah, because it's like at that point it's almost 20. It's like 22 years old.
Yeah, it's fucking like mint condition. I'm glad they kept that.
No, You're talking about when they're playing later on, right?
Yeah, when they're playing in the camp in 1958, they're playing on the same guitar as what's his dick, the funny guy is when he's.
Well, that's not funny. That's not. That's Bill.
Oh, when he's doing his little solo and shit, and they're like, "Wow, that's so good."
Yeah, what I'm referring to those when they're first showing up and they're riding in the Jeep. It's like 3 of them in that Jeep, and there's a banjo solo like playing
the country
over them
music.
Driving.
I guess in the 80s, teenagers were big into fucking bluegrass music.
Hey, I will say this. The only thing noticeable about that scene for me is that they're driving a 1970s model Ford F-100, which is like my favorite vehicle of all time. It's a beautiful red truck, and we never see it. They never show it again other than like, let's lift up the hood. Oh, all the wires have been cut. Sweet.
Let's take a look under the hood.
Let's take a look under the hood there, Bubba. So we go through a quick scene showing Kevin Bacon and the crew showing up at the camp. You see a rip-off Magnum PI, who's the camp counselor, Mr. Steve Christie, who's also a creepy boss.
His fucking short shorts, that cowboy belt, and the fucking no shirt, and the bandana.
And he's got the fucking bandana around his neck.
That shit's a badass.
Dude, he looks like a fucking poodle coming back from the vet after getting washed.
Did he have sandals on, or was it like cowboy boots?
No, it was cowboy boots. He had to look tall.
Dude, that guy was fucking styling.
Styling and profiling.
Yeah, he was creepy as fuck too. Like when he strokes Alice's
like,
face.
Oh, yeah, he wants it, man. He's like, did you see Kevin? Oh,
he's
my
like,
God,
you want a promotion?
It's like, did you see Kevin? God, he's beautiful, just like you.
Kevin Bacon. Oh yeah.
Everybody's going to yank on Kevin Bacon. Kevin, do you want some sausage with that bacon? Anyway. So we get into that.
Maybe some pancakes too.
Oh my God, we're going to get some butt cake.
He did get some pancakes in this movie.
Oh,
he was titty to titty with that woman.
Yes, he was, and he came. He's like, oh.
We're just gonna talk about the sex scenes.
They kind of do like a quick introduction, like, oh, they run into this character, run into that character. Bill, who is the black-haired guy that's not funny, who's very
They
bland.
all fucking mesh together.
They do all
Kevin Bacon.
But he is, you know who Bing Crosby is? You ever heard of that name?
Yeah.
He was a singer in the 50s and 60s.
Uh-huh.
That's actually his son.
Oh, doesn't he? No, never mind.
Does he what?
Nothing.
No, I want to know.
That was stupid.
I don't care. This is a podcast.
I was
What the
confusing.
fuck we just went through.
He does
Bacon?
a Humphrey Bogart impression, and I was confusing it with a Bing Crosby impression.
Oh, that's Ned doing that. Yeah, a lot of fun people are like, "Why are you?" That's so fucking old. But even 1980, Humphrey Bogart was a 60 star, so that's like us quoting Star Wars. That's like 30 years ago.
Yeah, they do like a lot of weird fucking like old Hollywood impressions. Like I guess
but that's not old to them though.
It still is. It's like if we did like a fucking I don't know who was a popular actor.
People do Jim Carrey impressions.
Hey,
all
you
the time
shut your
from,
whore
like,
mouth.
Liar, liar.
Hey,
okay.
I'm just saying.
It's Jim Carrey. There's nothing. He's classic.
Fucking
and by the way, I
nobody
did it in
would
the
know.
movie theater,
Okay.
mimicking him from Ace Ventura, and everybody laughed.
People
Cody's my
probably
witness.
just thought it was funny without knowing the movie.
No.
Though.
I'm saying I'm siding with what Lance said about
Sorry, I take back my fuck
people.
you.
People like quote like to them Humphrey Bogart wouldn't have been as old like today we reference Jim Carrey because that was like 20, 25
fucking
years ago.
football playing Chad fucking teenagers aren't like Jim Carrey. You know?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, true.
I am. I didn't play football though. I watch football.
I get pussy.
I get pussy,
and I do Jim Carrey impressions.
I act like I'm from the fucking Mask. Okay, you need to calm down here, buddy. No, that's probably what kept me from getting pussy. Sorry, Grandma. Just skip like 15 seconds in this podcast if you're listening.
Yeah, sorry, Grandma Lance.
Yeah, if I, that's probably what kept me from getting girlfriends in high school was my Jim Carrey impersonations because I did a lot of them. I even had somebody sign my junior yearbook and says, "Hey man, cut out the Jim Carrey impersonations." He was more of a fucking loser than I was.
Damn, dude,
it was fucking crazy.
He was
dude.
trying to roast you.
I know, like fuck him. Like, dude, you're like 5'8". Shut up,
piece of shit, short shit.
You short shit. All right. So we get introduced, and, you know, there's not much really going on. Steve has to run off. Steve has to run off. I'm not sure what he has to do. He tells them to keep working because it's about to rain. He doesn't want to miss any days' work.
Well, it's supposed to set up the fact that, maybe he's the killer.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't know if you noticed, his Jeep and then Mrs. Voorhees' Jeep look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then of course, I'm over here paying attention. His Jeep looks kind of newer.
I
than
kind
her
of,
Jeep.
yeah.
Her Jeep looked kind of beat up. But at the time, I didn't realize as a kid when I first watched it.
I knew it wasn't him. Well, partly because I was spoiled, but also because like I knew they weren't the same Jeep because one has just the fucking cover up and his was.
So when you say spoiled, like you were spoiled and you got all these toys?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll make sure that's what we're talking about here.
I got a toy.
Kevin Bacon shaped toys.
Only Kevin Bacon from Shrimp. Only Kevin Bacon from
scale model of fucking Kevin Bacon's ass.
Oh my god. Anyway,
sometimes you gotta cut loose.
On his butt. So
trying to kick off my Sunday shoes here.
Hey, Grandma, you might want to go ahead and not listen to this podcast. I apologize. So we get into that. He drives off. Annie's picked up by a Jeep, and she's like, I don't know why they call kids. It sounds like little baby goats. Nobody fucking says
it. It
that.
is a dumb fucking line.
That is a dumb line. Because, I remember hearing that in school when I was younger. They're like, well, kids actually means baby goat. And I was like, that's weird. Of course, I'm like fucking second grade. Who gives a shit? And I hear it in this movie. I'm like, I guess my teacher was right.
Whoa.
Yeah, Pamela Voorhees was going to let her live until she said
She's
that
like,
shit.
Okay,
she
you
was
fucking
done
cunt.
after
They're kids. Who cares?
It's like, that's it. I've had enough.
I've had enough of this bullshit.
How dare you call my Jason a baby goat?
She was like,
he's a fucking baby crater from the moon, okay? Look at his head.
She was just trying to teach her a fucking lesson about the dangers of hitchhiking.
Maybe Mrs. Voorhees is like pissed off because her son's dead, but also pissed off because she went through all that work giving birth to that motherfucker. Her vagina must have been wrecked when his head came
when
out.
his fucking dented in head scraped
His fucking
walls.
dented head came in, his eyes like fucking drooping and shit like that. She's just like, oh, my vagina. It's like a fucking horse lips.
He's the same size as when he comes out of
fun fact, though, Mr. Ed, the horse show, is actually just Mrs. Voorhees' vagina talking.
Oh, gosh.
You can leave that one in, Cody. That's fine. But Annie is just making small talk with whoever picks her up. It's in this Jeep.
It's first person.
So you kind of think maybe it's Steve, but when Steve drove off, his Jeep top was down.
Yeah.
But then, they drive right past, which is kind of weird. I'm sitting here I guess Steve may have went the other way. But they drive right past the camp. I'm like, Steve just fucking left, and then you have this scene show up. Did he just, fucking bolt? Like, how did he not see this other Jeep? And then, by the way, all the driving in this movie, everybody's in the fucking middle of the road. They don't give a shit about lanes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this. My girlfriend bitches at me about my driving because sometimes I'll swerve in the other lane every once in a while. Not like a drunk person, but more like a person that's not paying attention.
Every once in a while, I'll, fucking brake check somebody. Or
I'll brake check somebody.
I'm driving the wrong side of the road, just every once in a while.
That kind of thing.
Not my fucking right, fellows.
My grandfather gave me a quote, and I never will forget it. He said, first, if everybody liked the same thing, everybody would be after your grandmother. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't say that. But two, I pay taxes on both sides of the road. I'm going to drive on both sides of the road. So it makes sense to me in this movie. It speaks to me in this movie. But anyway, so Annie says, excuse me, wasn't that the camp 20 miles ago? And you're also driving in the middle of the road. That's what really pissed off Mrs. Voorhees. She's like, you fucking bitch, you're criticizing my driving. She slammed on she didn't slam on the brake, but Annie jumps out, which is actually a pretty impressive little tumble. My fat ass would not have done that.
Pamela Voorhees is probably driving a good 50 mile an hour. And when she jumps out, she does one small, half somersault into the ditch.
Dude, I mean, was she supposed to do a Fast and the Furious 8 where they're just land on her feet and she runs off like she's the Rock or some shit?
I was definitely expecting I don't know, maybe we're pampered by modern movies, but a lot of times when you see someone jump out of a car now, they fucking do the roll tumble shit.
Yeah, she does one little tumble.
Yeah,
though.
they get
I will give Cody credit on that. That was one. Even fucking Dennis Weaver in Duel. That's a shout out to our first episode. Go back and listen to it.
Go back to listen to that fucking classic.
That was a classic episode. But Dennis Weaver jumps out and he does multiple rolls, and his car was going max 35.
He was a badass, dude. If he was in this movie, he'd fucking kill this bitch instantly.
He'd fucking slap Steve Christie and say, give me back my mustache. You're not getting that young pussy. You got that? I'm about to get that young pussy because my wife's a fucking bitch, and she's mad because my boss hit on her at the Christmas party.
He's like, get the fuck out of here, Kevin Bacon. These are my tiny little titties.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that's great. So Annie gets killed in what I thought was a pretty good special effect. How she gets cut and there's a split second where you're like, is she okay? And all of a sudden the blood comes out. It's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Annie, the best actress in this movie, according to Cody.
Yeah. I mean, but she was legitimately the only fucking character outside of the funny guy who had any character.
There's no crazy people around here.
Yeah, and that guy.
That's the funny guy, yeah. Anyway.
I met the funny guy, the camp counselor, who's like, I'm an Indian.
Yeah, that's him. The same guy. He said that.
His fucking cultural appropriation shit.
Oh, brother, calm down. Well, so it goes to the scene where this officer shows up looking for my boy Crazy Ralph, and he's really he's looking at these kids like they're fucking aliens, like they probably just been smoking grass and all that. And it's like, hey man, did you get off the mountain? He goes like, what? These kids are somewhat fucking normal. He goes like, yeah man, smoking the grass, you dig it, all that good stuff. That was funny. Quick funny story, this guy didn't know how to ride a motorcycle in real life, so they set up the scene.
You can
I know, it's fucking terrible. I actually feel bad.
I didn't notice it. What?
Okay, if you watch it, and like I said, this is one of these lingering shots on this guy driving away,
which they do so many in this fucking movie, and that's why it's so boring.
Yes. But the funny thing is, you see him, he looks like a kid on a bicycle without,
training wheels.
Yeah, training wheels.
Is he fucking going?
Oh, he's doing that. Yeah, he's waving the fucking, the steering really fucking bad when he spins it, and then he drives off. And they literally, the guy said, a split second after that scene ends, he falls off the motorcycle.
Dude, they should have kept that in. What the fuck?
I know. And then Sean ran up to him and was like, I'm sorry, man. Are you all right? He goes, oh, yeah, it's fine, man. So just get me up off this thing.
He's a nice bike.
He's a really nice guy. He's kind of a character actor, but yeah, he didn't know how to ride a motorcycle.
Of course, they thought it was a good idea to show 15 seconds of him just driving to the end of the road, turning around and driving back the other way. Why they couldn't just show him taking off and cutting it, I don't know.
Hey, this is the best part though. When they run into Crazy Ralph a little later on, and then they show him riding off on the bicycle again. He has his second long shot of him riding the bicycle away from the camp. They're of course, he ends up in their fucking food pantry. He was like, She opens the door and there's Ralph. He's like,
I'm fucking
God
hungry.
sent me. You're all doomed. You're all doomed. And then he gets on his bicycle and goes, oh, my bike. Now you kids watch me as I ride away.
He's like,
I don't want to fall off like the cop did off the motorcycle.
Yo, check this bunny hop, dude.
Look, I can do a wheelie.
Yo,
Hold on a second.
No hands,
Oh.
motherfucker.
Look, Mom, no
and
hands.
then Coming to America starts playing.
Oh, my God. He's like, look, Mom, no hands. I don't even know what song that was. Look, Mom, no hands. Anywho, so, yeah, like I said, this movie is literally very little character development for the most part because you're not supposed to care about these kids. So, the killings are...
But you don't even know who the killer is. I don't know. There's no one to fucking, latch
I understand
onto
it. So it's
or
a
root
cheat.
for.
It's a cheat. You don't want to, they try to set up the clues, but if you think about it, and this is a callback to another movie I had you watch,
Yeah.
Psycho 2 was kind of a whodunit.
Yeah, but Norman Bates was still interesting, and I liked the girl that was in there.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying, but Norman Bates, of all these fucking killer movies, like Halloween,
And there was
Nightmare on Elm Street.
a good fucking plot to Psycho too.
Thank you very much. I introduced you to that movie. That's all me.
Yes, the fucking just him being so conflicted and shit was just added
Hey, we're gonna do that movie pretty soon. So
a
calm
way
down.
the fuck better layer. To
Yeah, but I'm just saying, from a whodunit thing, you're trying to figure it out because they always.
It's not even a good whodunit, and it's cheap as fuck too because then they just introduce a new character at the end, and they're like, "Oh, she did it." It's like,
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I totally understand it. It's not like the big reveal in Empire Strikes Back. Spoiler alert: you haven't watched it. Luke's like, Darth Vader's like, "I'm your father."
Yeah.
It's like, because who Darth Vader is. It's not like Darth Vader shows up at the end of the movie. You don't know who he is. He goes, "I'm your father." He goes, "What the fuck? Who are you?"
Yeah, and on top of that, you don't know who Jason is either. So it's sort of like I guess coming from an angle of watching the later movies first and coming back, it's different. But I can see if you're watching this and it's the only one you've ever seen, and it's like, who's Jason? Who is this woman? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I literally think the only reason this movie did good was because fucking everybody trashed it, and because it had titties and gore in it.
Yeah,
and now
you may be onto something.
you may be right.
You just make it sound really fucking cheap.
There's not even that many titties in it. There's fucking you get to see a quarter in a see-through shirt, dude.
Okay,
you see 1.5.
You see one and a half of boobs.
You see about
there's only half a titty.
3/4 of a titty. Okay,
3/4. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. Owen makes it sound really cheap when he says it that way. It's only because it's Friday the 13th and there's probably titties in it. I'm like, well, geez, man, make it sound worse if you could. And I'm just messing with you. That is true. That's probably the only reason it did. But if this movie wasn't successful, I wouldn't have had 11 more.
Yeah. I mean, I know they
even had 2 movies where they put final in the title and still fucking kept going.
The final chapter.
This fucking franchise, I will say one thing. This motherfucking franchise, it's dead now because of a lawsuit. But you couldn't kill this motherfucker. I mean, after part 4... Jason is literally dead. They bring him back to life.
Frankenstein style
in part 6. He faces off with Professor X's telekinetic daughter in part 7. He goes to fucking New York City in part 8. He gets dragged down to hell, even though he looks like a Power Ranger villain in part 9. He goes to fucking space in part 10. He faces off with a child pedophile in part 11, which is Freddy vs. Jason.
To be fair, I don't think he was a pedophile in the old...
Shh, calm down. You're being too loud. And then they get a fucking reboot. I'm going to tell you fucking something. And this franchise is a fucking roller coaster, baby. And there's even a series called Friday the 13th, the series, and it has fucking nothing to do with Jason. Don't bother watching it. I just thought I'd say that.
Shout out to that series.
Shout out to that series. But it's fucking stupid.
Shout out to the NES game Friday the 13th.
No, let's not shout that shit out.
No, that's okay. But we'll shout out the Friday the 13th game on PlayStation 4 that has the NES costume, and it's got the fucking NES music.
The NES music was
cool.
alright.
Once you get through the middle of this movie, the deaths start happening pretty quick.
Yeah.
They show Steve's at a diner, and they show this woman with really thick glasses, and it's his waitress, and she's like, how much do I owe you? And she goes, just a night on the town, Steve. I'm like, I wrote in my notes, man, she's thirsty. She wants a little bit of that fucking Magnum PI ripoff that Steve has. The deaths start happening. Kevin Bacon loses his virginity.
He penetrates and then gets penetrated.
Oh, yes. Oh, buddy, that's great. I love that. It's a great segue.
So let's talk about this. Owen, why do you think this looks so bad? What about it?
I don't know. There's just the way the blood gushes out. I don't think it's that bad. I just don't. I don't know. I don't think it's Tom Savini's best fucking... I think overall this movie is very... the gore effects are very good. A lot of it's Tom Savini's, good shit. But just this specific one, I don't think was Tom Savini's strongest, where he puts the little fucking arrow through it. I'm sure for the time period.
Now, Cody, what do you like about this death, Cody?
I think the arrow going through the neck does look really good. I think, in my opinion, it's one of the most impressive looking kills in the movie. Because there are some later on that kind of look like, I mean, they're just dated, of course, and that and being a low budget film, it's hard to prevent. But this one is probably one of the better looking ones. This one and Annie getting her
the throat slit was good.
Okay,
I don't know. I'm kind of coming around. I'm coming around on it a little bit now because I'm thinking about it. And I'm thinking about how if that was a casted body, it looked really good.
Let me tell you how this thing worked out. They worked on this set for Kevin Bacon for 12 hours. It's a cot. Kevin Bacon's head is sticking through the cot, and he's literally sitting underneath it.
Yeah.
For 12 hours while they put a fake body up to his neck.
That's how I figured they had done it.
So he's sitting there for 12 hours. They have a big hose that's right there that when the arrow comes through the fake neck, he's going to squirt all his blood out. And there's an air pump. So it's Tom Savini's assistant is going to do this air pump. So here comes the scene. You only got one shot at this thing.
Yeah.
They go through it and the hose falls off the pump. So at the very last second, the assistant grabs the hose and blows in it, and that's what causes the blood to squirt out even more forcefully than it did and goes into Kevin's mouth and it looks like bubbly and all that stuff. Yeah. Is because the guy's blowing through the hose because the pump broke.
Yeah.
So it's a fucking incredible setup, in real life, it was a happy little accident. But they set up that shot for 12 hours for that. And Kevin Bacon's sitting underneath the set with his head just poking out for 12 fucking hours.
I guess the only hang up I had was
the blood. The way the blood looked a little unrealistic. The blood.
Yeah, that was it.
That.
And I guess in hindsight, the prop looks good as shit.
Yeah, you can't tell
the only thing
looking at the pictures.
The only thing I don't like about this kill, or that's weird to me, is the hand. It's supposed to be Pamela's hand grabbing his head. Because to me, it's how long can this person's arms be to where they can reach up and around the bed?
How do these bodies get killed and then fucking picked up? You kill somebody, that's dead weight. She picked Ned's body up and put him up on top of that cot above them where they were fucking. And that's where the blood drips on Kevin's head, and he looks up, and that fucking happens.
And another thing is how the fuck does she... Okay, so there's so many cots in this bed. How the fuck does she know that this is the specific cot that they're gonna fuck, and that she hides underneath this one?
Because the director told her.
Yeah, because she's psycho.
Maybe she was actually just army crawling around the room.
She was fucking
after they got
Solid
in there.
Snake, Metal Gear Solid, fucking crawling around. Infiltration mission.
My quick question is, if you're the killer in this instance, and they're fucking, you're like, oh god, I gotta wait to stick this.
It was actually her grabbing Kevin Bacon's ass.
It was her.
He's like, oh, stop touching my ass.
He's all into it, but his girlfriend's hands are both of her hands on his head. And then somebody touches his ass. He's like, oh baby, I didn't know you had 3 arms. And she goes, what? He goes, oh, I'm about to come. That's when he grabs the pillow. But what if you're the killer and you all of a sudden have to shit?
I don't know. You just shit.
And then they're like,
what's the smell? Good question.
I'm just sitting there thinking, you never see Jason use the bathroom. She's a woman. She's a 150-pound woman. She obviously has to use the bathroom. And,
she's like, oh, my bladder.
Other than Cody's wife saying women don't poo, I know they do. So this is one of those things. I'm like, what if she's like, oh God, not now. I'm about to kill somebody. Not right now.
We come into a lot of questions when we take into consideration that a lot of these deaths were done by a fucking 60-year-old woman
with 150 pounds max.
Yeah.
The fact, Bill, he's shot up with all these arrows, but he's literally up on a door. He's if you look at that one scene where she's looking for Bill at the end. This is after everybody's dead.
Yeah.
And she's like, Bill. She goes to she sounds like she's calling for a fucking cat. But Bill, she goes into the boiler room, not boiler room, but the room with the generator. She's like, oh, wait, he's not here, but here's his rain jacket. Okay, cool. These are her thoughts. She shuts the door. The door is literally a step up from the ground, and Bill's up there, been shot with 3 or 4 bow and arrows, fucking Tatanka killed him.
And the bow and arrows are
they're
stapled him to the fucking wall.
Yeah, I'm like, how did this woman do it? But the cool fucking thing, not cool. I think it's cool when you're watching it, just because you kind of see the realism from the acting. When she shuts the door, you kind of see the real actor's eye flinch, because it's obviously it's all this makeup he's got on there and stuff like that. But he's trying to flinch when she screams, because oh god, that was kind of loud.
My ears.
Oh, my ears, you bitch. But
You ever heard of rest in peace, damn it?
He's like, you're being too loud.
Calm down. You're being too
Calm
loud.
down.
So Kevin Bacon in his nice butt gets killed. He goes to his girlfriend going to the bathroom. I will never stand why if somebody's using the John, you hear this noise, and then you start calling out everybody's name, you get no response, and you still call out their name. Ted, is that you? Ted? Fran?
Stop trying to look at me, shut.
I'm trying to poop here. And then nobody fucking wipes in these bathrooms. I'm like, I swear to God, you watch these fucking movies, somebody's on the toilet, they hear a noise.
Even better.
Honestly, like, all these dudes that just fucking pick their pants up. I need to go check out this noise. Nobody fucking wiped.
She didn't wipe?
I don't think she did.
Nice.
Oh, something else I noticed. You know the scene where I don't remember her name, but she goes to brush her teeth.
Yes.
She brings like 18 items in the bathroom with her, and all she does is brush her teeth and then picks up all this crap again before she walks out. It's like, what was all this other junk you brought in?
And that water looked dirty as fuck.
I'm surprised they didn't show her fucking putting on like makeup and shit, knowing this movie's like long ass scenes where they don't do anything interesting.
But the one creepy part about it is, I know the chick that came in after Marcy. Marcy? I think it's Marcy is Kevin Bacon's girlfriend in this movie.
Who knows? Fucking all these one name characters.
After she gets killed, which is a pretty good death. You see the axe in the face, the way they did the makeup and everything. Because I believe they did the axe into a fake head, but then they did the makeup where they put a fake axe into the actress's face, and I thought that looked fucking really good.
Yeah, it looked really good. That was one of the standouts. So I was like, damn, that looks good as fuck.
Yeah. And then when Brenda comes in, Cody was talking about, she's, brushing her teeth and all that stuff, but you see Mrs. Voorhees, you don't know Mrs. Voorhees at the time, you see the killer's hand kind of move the curtain, trying to draw her into that room by making a noise, like she did with Marcy.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of cool thing. It's just kind of like drawing them in because these kids are curious. And then Brenda, she gets in her room, but then you hear some kid that doesn't sound like Mrs. Voorhees later on going, "Help me, I'm over here." This is during the rainstorm. Yeah. And she goes up to the archery part, and then that's when she gets killed.
She's like, "Shut the fuck up.
God, you fucking bitch.
I'm trying to read a book,
sleep.
What's with all the racket?"
And she wears a gown like looking like she's fucking 80 years old. I'm like, honey, you're like the prettiest girl on this thing. Fucking wear something better.
Her to put on a sleeping cap and walk around with her little candle like Scrooge.
Yes, that's fucking hilarious. She's like, it's a ghost of Christmas past.
I vote axe in the head girl.
I'd have to say Brenda.
I don't know.
And then number 2 for me is Annie.
Yeah, number 2 is definitely Annie. Let's just vote the women in this.
Kevin Bacon's number 1. Though,
yeah,
obviously.
Kevin Bacon always.
He can pass for both. He's fine.
He comes first with his little nose.
Welcome to the Kevin Bacon podcast, everybody.
Sometimes you just gotta
cut
loose.
Next is cut loose, and after that, Tremors. Stay tuned.
And then after that, The Following, starring Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I need to watch that movie.
Fuck yeah, Kevin Bacon.
Have you seen that yet, Cody?
What, The Following?
Yeah, well, this is a movie. Is that the movie that came out not too long ago? He's in it. It's like a scary movie. It's like a ghost in the house or something.
No. So The Following was a show that came on around 2010, and it ran for like 1 or 2 seasons. And I think he was like a detective, and there was a serial killer or something he was trying to track down. He was like a cult leader and a serial killer. It was a pretty good show. I think it got canceled after like 2 seasons.
What about that movie that came out like last year?
I know which one you're talking about, but I can't remember the name.
That actually looked pretty good. I don't know if it got good reviews or not, but it looked pretty good. I think he wore like a blue sweater in that movie, and it was like an homage to Pamela Voorhees' character. That's what I read. I don't know if it's true or not. Anyway, welcome to the Kevin Bacon podcast again. So, like I said, the deaths start happening. Steve is somehow, ironically, his Jeep stops working. That happens at every one of these fucking movies. I love it. I have no problem with it. That just makes me, when I'm driving at night, I just never stop anymore. I just keep driving and say, fuck it, I'm going to get to the house. It's just not going to take a chance. Steve, the cop, comes up. I thought, I was like, how does the cop fucking just show up? Just, hey, I'll take you. You're a white guy. I'm going to take you where you need to go. But Steve, you notice when he drove off, Steve had a walkie-talkie. Not walkie-talkie, but like where you can call in a radio, CB radio. So calls the cop, I'm assuming. Or the cop, they have ESP. They're like fucking aliens. They communicate with each other. Cop shows up, picks him up, and has that little thing. A lot more crimes happen on Friday the 13th as a full moon. We got statistics. And like, shut up, okay? Trying to make sense out of the stupid shit. So he drops them off, like, pretty much at the edge of the road, and Steve walks up to the camp.
In the middle of nowhere.
With Eustace.
It's pitch black.
I think we did that joke.
I know, we did it in real life. We haven't done it on this podcast yet.
No, we did the Eustace Bang Courage the Cowardly Dog joke on the last episode.
Well, yeah, we did when we were talking about fucking Christopher Lee's weird apartment in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
What is happening?
Eustace Bang.
Hey, welcome to the Courage the Cowardly Dog podcast, everybody.
I would totally do that. I love that show.
Oh, no!
Things I do for love.
Well, Steve comes up, and then the flashlight from behind the sign, and then he goes, "Hey, what are you doing there?
You old bitch."
You old fucking bitch.
And she overpowers him and fucking kills him.
Yeah.
You think this guy would be like, "What the fuck? You're coming at me with a machete?" He fucking just tackles her.
The funny thing is, he's like, oh, he knows this person.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're watching the movie from a serious perspective, obviously not us, but he knows he knows the person. He goes, "Oh, what are you doing out here?" And he walks up and just fucking gets stabbed in the fucking gut. And then fucking Alice starts discovering after fucking sleeping, she's like, "You want me to go with you, Bill?" And she's fucking knocked the fuck out. And he's like, "Nah, it's okay." It's like any other woman in this situation. She's like, "I'm tired," so the guy has to go fucking do it, And or in my girlfriend's case, she would have to do it because I'm the one that's asleep. She can't sleep with my snoring. So she goes around. She sees all the dead bodies. She freaks out. She goes to the cabin. She does this kind of like, none of these cabins have door locks, which is like very irritating. Of course, I get it's 1980, but come on, people. It's like you should have like door locks. But anyway, she ties that rope. She does like the little the counselor knot or whatever, and she's like tying up the rope to a pillar to the ceiling to keep the door from open. The thing is, the door opens like you pull it from the outside, but she throws all this stuff in front of the door like this gonna keep somebody.
So
from
when
coming
she
in.
opens it, there's just a bunch of shit in the way. She's like, "Fuck, I can't get in."
Fuck. I put that dude up on the door with all those arrows.
Yeah,
I can't do this.
Obviously, she has like some fucking ant strength. She can fucking carry up to like 5 times her weight.
that's Mrs. Voorhees. But the weirdest thing is, they throw Brenda through the window, which is actually Tom Savini in a wig that does the stunt. But what's weird to me, because it happens so quickly, they throw Brenda through the window, which is a trope that somehow Jason knows, and he does it through all the movies too. And it's literally like 3 or 4 seconds. She's looking at Brenda. She's like, "Oh no!" Then you see lights come around the Jeep. Like Mrs. Voorhees fucking had her Jeep parked at like in the middle of this fucking road where the camp is about to begin.
She
throws the girl through the window, and then she runs back to the car, and then drives up to the thing like, "Oh hey, how's it going?" She's not even breathing hard.
I just definitely pictured this old ass woman doing this shit. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna fuck with this bitch so bad, fucking throw the dead body."
Okay, I was thrown off for a second because you were saying Brenda, but it's Alice, right?
No. Alice is the survivor. Brenda's the girl that
got killed.
Yeah, get killed at the archery,
and then she throws her.
She's
through
the one
window.
in the bathroom with all the makeup and stuff like that. You said.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when they throw her through the window, and then she sees like the Jeep light, she thinks it's Steve. She's like, and she goes, "Who are you, Steve?" He goes, "I'm Mrs. Voorhees, an old friend of the Christies." Like, oh, thank God.
Who are the Christies?
Yeah, and then she hugs her and stuff too.
She's like, "They're all dead. They're all dead." He's like, "Calm down. I don't know what the fuck you're saying. Shut up, you fucking bitch. I just want my meatballs."
Who are the Christies again?
Steve Christie is the counselor. It was his parents that run the camp.
Oh, okay.
So you go into like this whole little thing. She walks in and acts surprised. There's a dead body, and she's like, "Oh my Lord, so young, so beautiful. Steve should never have opened this place. There's been too much trouble here."
She's like, "Oh, so beautiful." Yeah, I did it.
So young, so beautiful, so tight.
Oh my God, Cody, shut up.
That's like Kevin Bacon.
Bacon. This is the Kevin Bacon podcast, if anybody's been listening. And Courage the Cowardly Dog.
She just cut Kevin Bacon's ass off and is carrying it around in her Jeep, man.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, I just could not waste this fucking fine specimen.
She's got a little bit of Texas Chainsaw
two
Massacre.
Fucking plump hams right here.
This is New Jersey.
She's got like,
oh, a fucking tight ass.
She's like, she cut off his ass cheeks. She's got a little bit of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She's got them like sewed onto her butt cheeks. And
she's got like a fat ass. she's like walking into the cabin. Alice looks down like, what the fuck?
I mean, Alice is like crying, she all this stuff, but she keeps looking down because she notices Mrs. Voorhees' ass is really thick. She's like, "Damn,
You like it?
you like
it? I got it from Kevin Bacon.
I got it from Kevin Bacon." Who? Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's just like it's just really fucking thick, and she just keeps looking down as she's walking away when Mrs. Voorhees is going through her little monologue because of the ass, and because Mrs. Voorhees is going a little crazy, and she does that awesome little scene where she's like, "Oh, my child, my sweet Jason, mommy, help," and all this other crap.
I honestly think that she fucking what's the word I'm looking for?
Liked
phoned
it.
it in. She phoned it in during
I
this
still
monologue.
think it was great.
I
Even
don't
if she
know.
phoned it in, she's better than I could ever fucking be, so it's a good actor to me. You go through the whole little chase scene, which is kind of underwhelming. The women fighting looks kind of like
Yeah, that was
hokey as
so
fuck.
fucking like.
But hey, when she slaps her,
Oh yeah.
that was a
like-
real slap.
yeah, like Betsy was like, Betsy was like, I'm a stage actor. If you hit somebody, you actually hit them on stage. So she accidentally smacked her the first time, and then Alice drops to the ground. She goes, "Sean, she actually hit me." And she's like, "Oh," it's like, "No, Betsy, you miss her. We put the noises in afterwards." So she had to learn how to do a fake, slap.
But yeah, we see.
Wait, is this for real?
Yes, 100%. That is great. I mean, come on, man.
But we get a fight scene between an old lady and like a 22-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Captivating,
Yeah.
even.
It's got, like I said, I will say one thing I thought was kind of cool. I mean, the whole, the fighting's kind of like, she hits her with a frying pan, and then she thinks she's dead. I've never seen anybody get slapped in the back with a frying pan and then have blood come out the back of their head. She gets hit in the back.
The old lady gets fucked up so much. Like, she gets, the shit knocked out of her by, a poker or something. And then,
She hits her with a poker. It's like,
how much
the
can
fuck
this...
did she kill all these guys?
Yeah, she's like, she doesn't even stop and go, my hip. This fucking old lady's, made of titanium.
Well, Alice's mistake was that you have to do the double tap rule. They hit the ground and you just get them one more time to make sure.
God,
Bitch.
I was thinking about the double tap, and I was just thinking about Kevin Bacon's ass again.
double slap that.
She's like, before she leaves the last time to go out to the lake, she flips her over, and you see the blood on the back, but what you don't see is she slaps the butt. She goes, And but what was cool was when and for some fucking reason, someone makes sense to me. Someone try to make sense of this to me. Excuse me. None of these doors have locks. I've established this. But she goes to the fucking food pantry, and the food pantry door has a deadbolt on the inside. Who's going to lock themselves in the food pantry?
A bear's going to get in there, dude.
Or some fat
it's
ass
on the
kid
inside?
said, "Oh no! What was that fat kid in the Chocolate Factory movie?"
Augustus
Gloop.
Just give me Augustus. I don't give a shit about the last name.
That's
Augustus
part of the
is like,
song,
"Oh
though.
no, it's the room. I'm going to
He's
lock
great big
myself in
greedy
the room."
nincompoop.
He's only like, "Augustus, we got to take this damn lock off." But anyway, you see the light comes on. Voorhees is running back and forth like she's searching the room. And then she turns the light off and leaves the light on, but she leaves. She shuts the door. And then she thinks she's fine. But all of a sudden you see behind her the doorknob's turning and she's trying to come in anyway. I'm like, that was actually fucking kind of scary the first time I watched it. I've seen it in the other Friday the 13th
You're
movies.
scared of this old lady. You're like, she's going to bake me
Wouldn't you
cookies.
be? I mean, look how thick she is.
Yeah. What the one part of this fucking scenes or this fight scene shit was when she takes a gun and I guess she's trying to beat off the lock.
The drawer's locked where all the ammunition is. She doesn't have a lock to it.
But the way she's hitting it just made me go what the fuck are you doing? She hardly hits it. She's just hitting the cabinet, not even the lock.
Oh god! I mean, I can't talk shit. I wouldn't know what to do with it either.
I guess I wouldn't either.
I mean, I sit here look,
I'd beat her with
I've
the
timed
fucking
myself
gun.
before.
Be like, you fucking old
Yeah.
bitch.
Do something. Don't just sit there like an idiot.
I have this
Well,
heavy gun.
The thing I don't understand, before the food pantry part, all these cabins that you see, all the lights are on. She runs back to the main cabin and shuts the lights off. If you have a killer chasing you, wouldn't you, I'm just thinking, maybe leave the lights on so they don't know that's the one fucking cabin you went into to shut off the lights to hide from them?
Sure, she turned off the lights in just one cabin.
And the cabin she was in, all the other cabins, the lights are on right now.
Yeah.
Because Voorhees...
Maybe it was just to make sure that she didn't. It was harder for her to see her or something inside the cabin.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I mean, I would.
But she's been running around the woods in the freaking pitch black, but no problem. So
Yeah.
I don't see how that's gonna stop
But
her.
if you remember, Voorhees went back and she turned the generator on, and all the lights came back on the cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After she turned it off, she did that. So all the lights are on. Then she goes in this cabin, turns the lights off. I would have went in there, locked myself in, but left the lights on. You don't know which cabin she's fucking in at this point.
Yeah.
I would have got in the fucking Jeep with the dead body and drove off. Because she left the lights on. It's pretty obvious that Jeep... I mean, the body probably stinks, granted. I know that, but I would fucking drive off or whatever. And then fucking... I know that Jeep had its own CV radio. I mean, there's a lot of things you can sit there and nitpick. But, I mean, hell...
Yeah, but she's got to collect the battery first and get fuel.
Yeah, it's just like the game.
And find the key.
It's like an adventure game.
It kind of is. I'll tell you one thing.
It's like the Friday the 13th game. That's what I was referencing.
I will say this. I have timed myself when I've got home before and said, can I get inside this house as quickly as I can before the killer got me?
And then you dropped your keys like 3 times. I'm like,
No, I am fumbling with my fucking keys. I'm like, I'd be fucking dead. So I can't criticize these motherfuckers. I'd be the dumb motherfucker fat ass that, was like, oh, I'm going to make fun of everybody. And, I'm the fucking nerd and I'm the one that got killed. I am Shelly in part 3 that gives the mask to Jason because I'm the fat ass, jokester. That's what happens. Cody knows what I'm talking about. Owen's just like, what?
what?
So, after this very detailed movie, we get to the final scene. For some reason, Alice thinks it's over. She goes to the sandy part of the lake that looks like a beach almost.
And she just goes out onto the fucking water for no reason.
Oh no, she hasn't done. We haven't got. We're missing the kill there,
buddy.
Oh,
okay.
She sits down there and just stares at the water like it's over. I'm like,
yeah, and like some weird happy music is playing the whole time.
And I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, if I went through that ordeal, I'd have to go use the bathroom.
I got a shit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're being real about this stuff. Come on now.
Just crouch over the edge of the dock.
Oh God, or do it in a park like I did. Anyway, this is. I mean, come on, it's a camp. It's like a park and a lake put together. But she's sitting there
just
and
bury it in the sand like a cat.
No. This is actually
in a tree.
It's been cleaned up now, but it's on Riverside Drive.
Yeah,
by the river, and it's like concrete driveway, and I had to go. And it was like,
oh my God,
it was like 11:30 at night.
I just want to know the person who like was taking their kids to the park that day, and like they pulled next to like a big pile of shit.
Dude, I imagine somebody saw that and thought that. Somebody's first thought was, that's a huge goose.
Hopefully, like, the cops don't listen to this podcast. And like, we found him. We found the phantom shitter.
It was one time. It wasn't just a phantom.
But the funniest thing was that you did it on that fucking street. And, like, most of the people who fucking listen to this podcast probably know the street we're talking about. But it's, like, really fucking busy.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I had turned. Okay, look. I drove into this park. This is at night. There was no cameras, thank God. All the lights were off. I turned off the dome light in my truck and my lights in general on my
truck. Why
did
you just like shit in the river?
Because I wasn't walking all the way down the river, dude.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This thing's like fucking
like
25 feet from the river.
Yeah.
You gotta walk down a slope. It was there.
You should just like sell it on the fucking dock that's over there.
It was there. I was like a chocolate dispensary at the Willy Wonka factory.
So you had no time.
I had no time whatsoever.
There was no resource of time.
No, I tell you one thing.
It was like the taffy pulling room.
Oh my God! It looked like the chocolate river when I got done though.
Augustus Gloop.
It was quick. I pulled my pants up. I jumped in the truck and I fucking drove off. And I drove by like a few hours later that next morning just to make sure there was no cops there looking at a camera getting an incident report. Somebody's shit.
They have a fucking swab. They're swabbing it up.
They're swabbing like
we gotta find
this guy had Jack in the Box.
There's some detective right now just sitting at his desk staring at a picture of the crap. Just, one day I'll get the bastards.
The phantom shitter.
So anyway, Alice is thinking everything's over, not having to use the bathroom whatsoever, and then Miss Voorhees comes up, and I find it funny. They start doing this wrestling around. She somehow gets Alice on her belly, and then she grabs her head and like keeps knocking her head into the sand.
And it's so like
quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting yourself. And
yeah, that was kind of goofy.
I fucking died at that part. But then, Alice shrugs her off, like, yeah! And she grabs the machete, and everything happens in slow motion, and off comes Mrs. Voorhees' head, and her hands come up, and then
you notice she way too long.
Well, her hands come up, and then you notice she has black hair on her knuckles. So what happened is, Tom Savini's assistant is wearing the fake get-up. They have a fake head. They did a plaster on Betsy Palmer's head, to get the kind of facial reactions the best she could. And then they took the fake plaster head, put it on top of Tom Savini's assistant, and he's got the blue sweater on, but his head's coming out where the chest would be on the shirt. And the head's being held together by 2 toothpicks. So when they come in, it's actually Tom Savini coming in with the machete.
Is it a real machete? Are they actually swinging a machete at this fucking guy?
Yeah, I'm assuming, but they're aiming here is your head. I'm pointing at Owen's head.
What if Tom Savini was having an off day though?
It's fuck.
He just plants in the guy's fucking
I shouldn't have had all the alcohol last night. Fuck me, man. And then just fucking cut it off. But no, when it cuts it off, and then you see, the head in this reaction, the hands come up trying to feel where the head's supposed to be. But it's actually the assistant special effects artist. I can't remember the man's name. It's no disrespect. It's not saying he's not important. I just can't remember it. And it's his hands that come up. So if you pay attention to it, he's got hairy knuckles. But it's something that came through the whole editing process. It wasn't a big deal. So like any normal person would, after you have sit there and seen all your friends get butchered and you kill the killer, you want to go sailing.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, she pushes out the canoe out there and says, "You know what? I deserve this. I need some me time."
It's so fucking dumb.
And she goes out there and it's got this really sweet music. And in the documentary, they said it was like an instrumental piece taken from a song that Harry Manfredini had just redone. And then comes, I guess you could call it the Carrie moment. I prefer to call it the Psycho moment. Like in Psycho at the end where Vera Miles, which is the sister of the character who got killed in Psycho, she walks up, she goes, "Mrs. Bates." And she's down in the fruit cellar. She turns the chair around and you see the fucking skull. And it's just a skeleton that's got a wig on. And she does that, ah! This is the scene where everything's done, everybody's dead, and then Jason jumps up like E.T., he looks kind of like E.T.
That's a sound he makes.
He grabs her and pulls her in the water.
He's like, hug
now. It's like, where's my fucking chicken, Mom, you fucking bitch?
Cheesehead looking ass.
And then, she wakes up in the hospital. And
the nurse looks in the fucking camera.
And, we finally get to Owen's moment in the sun. I don't remember
My
this.
moment in the sun.
I don't remember the scene.
Dude, I literally noticed.
I'm going to go back and rewatch it, though.
Yes, look at the nurse. The nurse
she stares at the camera.
She looks down at, the fuck is her name? Alice.
Yeah.
And then she looks up at, the cop who's, coming towards the bed. And
he's
then she looks.
He's coming.
He's coming on the bed. I would look at the camera, too. I'd be like, what the fuck?
It's like kind of an erection. I'm about to come.
Like, oh, what the fuck's happening?
This wasn't in the script.
No, and then Sean's like, "This is my other expertise, baby, softcore porn."
That sounds a little hardcore to me. I don't know.
No, I mean, he's like 50 years old. It's probably not that hard. Let's be honest. They didn't have Cialis.
This is
then.
chubcore.
Oh, God. Anyway, the funny thing I noticed is to give her a shot, they roll her over and stick it in her ass. Because I always got shots when I was a kid in my ass. And I thought it was funny to just roll over and they look at the sheriff like, "You pervert." He looks away and they give her the shot and she's like, "It's like, is everybody alive? Are they dead?" He's like, "No, ma'am, they're all dead."
Can we just get a sound clip?
No, ma'am, they're all dead.
Can we get a sound clip of Lance saying, "Roll her over and stick it in her ass"?
That's the preview clip. I need you to say that, Cody. But then she asks, she goes, "What about the boy, Jason?" And he's like, "Boy?"
He's like, "Bitch, you look like Mark Hamill. Get the fuck out of here."
Oh, God. That's incredible. I didn't even think about that. Mark Hamill looks like Jodie Foster. Look at him in Return of the Jedi and be like, they were making fun of Return of the Jedi. And it's like, "Hey, I just called Jodie Foster an asshole." It's Mark Hamill. Anywho, that was fucking great. They have the whole, jump scare. She's like, then he's still there. And it goes back to the lake. You see the ripple effect. Maybe it was just a fucking catfish. Who knows?
Catfish. Hey, man, I don't know why that's so funny to me. Little catfish.
That's the end of the movie.
Final opinion.
There is absolutely nothing past this movie. There are no sequels. This is it.
It's completely fucking just single movie.
Just one single movie. Okay, I will say one thing. Comparing to the Halloween movies, Donald Pleasance is Dr. Loomis, the psychiatrist for Michael Myers. And he's in the first 2 and then 3, 4, 5, and 6 movies. And he passes away in real life. I personally think Crazy Ralph could have been like the sole survivor of every movie that you forget about. And he could have been like the Dr. Loomis of Friday the 13th. He's like, you're all doomed, and I'm just as crazy as Jason. You know, that's why he survives. Unfortunately, he meets his end in part 2. That's for maybe another podcast one day, ? I don't know. Final thoughts. I'm going to go first because we're going to end off with Owen's final thoughts. He's like, I love this. Anyway, I think it's a really fair movie. It's not great. I would say it's borderline good, borderline boring at times. I just watched this movie like 5 weeks ago with my girlfriend because she had never seen any of the Friday the 13th movies, so I'm showing it her in progression. She thought it was cheesy but liked the ending, and I rewatched it literally the day before we recorded this podcast, and it was kind of a drag. Like, I just seen this movie. It's not something that's like rewatchable that fucking close together. I mean, I would watch like Friday the 13th Part 6 every like 2 weeks if I could because I like that movie and it's funny. I wouldn't be able to do it with this movie. But if you've never watched it, you haven't watched it in a long time, I think it's a good movie. Slightly boring in some shots. Sometimes, I mean, it's just can be kind of a drag. You're like, come on, let's get to the fucking kills. It's an hour and 35 minutes. Feels a little longer at times. But, you know, I definitely recommend it. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you're a fan of the series, you're going to watch it. But if you've never watched it, I definitely would recommend it for at least a one watch. Cody, what would you like to think, sir?
I would recommend it. I think that if you're a fan of slasher movies, it's definitely worth watching. Even if you're just a casual fan of horror movies, it's still a good watch. I think you're right. It's a good one-time watch for anyone who's just not really into Friday the 13th. It has its flaws, of course, and some moments don't hold up as well as others, but overall, I still think it's a good movie, and I still enjoy it myself.
Okay. Owen, good sir?
I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it unless maybe you were a fan of Friday the 13th. I think there are even better movies within the franchise that you'd probably be better off watching. It's like really droll and it doesn't hold up. I don't even think it holds up even for the time because like fucking The Shining came out the same year. And The Shining's good as fuck.
Well, that's your opinion. No, I mean, I liked The Shining for what it was, but watching Dr. Sleep made me hate that fucking movie. But anyway.
I've never watched Dr. Sleep or read it or anything like that. But anyway, I think The Shining by itself is a good fucking movie and it's scary. This movie, I don't know. It's not. I mean, I know slashers aren't really scary to like a modern audience, but I mean, some of them are. I don't know. It's just really fucking boring and it doesn't really do anything interesting. Like, the gore effects look good because it's Tom Savini, but I mean, like, if you wanted to see some Tom Savini, like, there's way better movies where he's in there. I'm pretty sure he does the makeup or the special effects in later movies, doesn't he?
Yeah, he did it for Part 4, actually, the final chapter.
So just watch Part 4 if you want that shit. And titty, you can just go on Google and type in titty and see titty. Or you can watch any of the other slasher movies that have titty that are actually good.
Trust me, the rest of the Jason movies, there's plenty of titties.
So you just watch
and nicer looking ones. Just nothing wrong with Marcy. No offense to her. They're not my. Okay, look.
You don't like the petite little titty.
Yeah. I mean,
they're not your cup of tea.
That's that Greek.
I like what you did there, Cody.
That's the Greek goddess titty, dude. Come on.
Oh, yeah, well, it's just fine, but it's not what I am going to be looking at when I type in titty for Google.
Okay, then.
I'm going to be looking for kind of a bigger size. That's just my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. the sheriff keeps coming to the table. So, okay, that gives all our thoughts. Cody recommends it. I recommend it, but it's like a one-watch recommend. And it's not a necessary watch if you're going to watch a Friday the 13th movie. You know, you could pick up a Part 2, which recaps Part 1. Part 2 recaps Part 1. Part 3 recaps Part 2. Part 4 recaps all three of the fucking movies. Like, they literally add in, like, a 15-minute recap at the beginning of the movie so you know what the fuck's going on and they don't have to add any more footage to the movie. But you don't even have to watch this movie. This is not like when you're watching Star Wars and you got to watch A New Hope first. No, you can skip this movie. It's not that big of a deal. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, it did spawn like the rest of the slashers. It's like, Halloween came out. Friday the 13th was the first ripoff. And then that opened the door saying, hey, you can have success with ripping off Halloween. Let's go fucking do this. And we talked about this earlier before, but, it spawned 11 more movies. And even the Halloween franchise was copying the Friday the 13th franchise at that point. So the genuine article started imitating the imitators. But this franchise, this movie did start a franchise. But also, if you get a chance, play the game. It's a very good homage to these movies. It's incredible the detail that goes into the cabins they, put in there from these movies. The archery range from this movie.
Yeah, if there is one thing that I do like that, I guess about this movie is that I always liked the cabin setting. That's always been like kind of comfy, I guess.
Yeah, which is cool because the funny thing is they didn't make the set. This actually was a cabin. This actually was a camp they went to.
Yeah.
To actually go do it. It was just in the fall, so it's like fucking freezing up there in New Jersey where they filmed this motherfucker.
And they were out in their fucking bathing suits and shit. Dude.
Yeah. And Kevin Bacon was definitely in his bathing suit.
His fucking ass was out.
So
Kevin's bacon
and sausage. Anyway, anybody that's listening, I do appreciate you making it this far. If you get a chance, follow us on social media at FilmoscopyPod. That's on Twitter. If you search at Filmoscopy Podcast, or not app, just search Filmoscopy Podcast in Google, you will find the link to our podcast from any of the platforms that we have out there right now. Let's see what else. Owen, I believe your movie is next. What is the next movie we'll be covering, sir?
I think we're gonna do Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
Kung Pao.
Wait, I thought you were doing Home Alone.
Are we doing Home Alone next?
I thought that was gonna be his
because
Christmas movie.
I think the next 3 are gonna be the Christmas ones.
Oh, okay. So it's going Home Alone. So okay, Home Alone, cool. Do you have that movie, Cody, or do I need to drive that shit up to you too?
It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, thank God.
But wouldn't if I did it? Okay, so if I did it on my next episode, when would that be? That'd be like in January or some shit.
No, because this is just November.
So okay, here's the schedule. So Owen, your next one, which we'll record next weekend, will be published on the 22nd of November, and then it's mine, which will be published December 6th, and then Lance's, which will be published December 20th. So your next one after that will be published on January 3rd.
So you might as well do Home.
Just do a New Year's movie, dude. Do a movie about my birthday, because my birthday is the day before that.
Badass.
Hell yeah.
So Owen, let's go ahead and cut all that out. Owen, what's our next movie, sir?
It is Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Oh wait, no, it's not. Shit. It's Home Alone. Sorry.
Okay, Cody.
Let's do it again.
First off, I would leave the whole ending.
Redo that shit.
No, we ain't redoing
Fuck it,
that.
we'll do it live.
No, I want you to do this like we're fucking doing it live. We're gonna explain to Owen. Oh yeah, your movie's gonna come out here, and he's gonna be like, Kung Pao. Look, he just forgets what we just did.
I did.
I might have to leave all that in just for that payoff.
Okay, it's Home Alone.
It's Home Alone is the next movie.
Fucking Macaulay Culkin. We should get Macaulay Culkin on the fucking podcast, dude. Let's send him a message on like Instagram or some shit.
Well, I mean, I can do that, but I can.
Yeah, let's get on his podcast.
Well, we can do that, but I'll just watch the movie and just try to impersonate his voice. We can just do that. It's free. We ain't gotta pay anybody.
It's me, Macaulay Culkin. What's going on?
But anybody listening, thank you very much. Please stay safe out there. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. Just thank you for listening, and happy Friday the 13th if you're listening this on Friday the 13th. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.